Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Justin, and here we complain. So today I want to talk about the ramifications of the George Floyd, Derek Chauvin trial and how our political officials are responding to the verdict. Also before the verdict. And I've talked about Maxine Waters here before, but I want to bring her up again because they just voted on censuring her, and they aren't even going to censure her for inciting violence. So I think it's kind of important that we talk about it. But if you're new here, leave me a like, share with your friends if you like it, comment down below. I want you to tell me your opinions. This isn't just about me. I want you guys to go down and fill that comment section. But yeah, here we go. Okay, so just to refresh your memory, this is what Maxine Waters said the other night, and also the judge's response directly as the defense had moved for a mistrial because of her comments. So I'm just gonna, this is ABC News, so I'll just let this play.
That we're going to get a verdict that is say guilty, guilty, guilty. And if we don't, we cannot go away. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
The judge denied a request for a mistrial over her comments, but says the defense may have grounds for appealing a guilty verdict later on.
So she may
I wish elected officials would stop talking about this case. Their failure to do so, I think,
have
is
ruined the
abhorrent,
case.
But I don't think it has prejudiced us with additional material that would prejudice this jury. They have been told not to watch the news. I trust they are following those instructions.
David.
So Maxine Waters may have potentially just given Chauvin his freedom. So whether you like the verdict or not, Maxine Waters may have just ruined the entire judicial process for Derek Chauvin. And if he's given an unfair trial, that means there's potential for him to just be acquitted of all charges. So right after she said this is what happened. This is the Minnesota National Guard's Twitter page. A Minnesota National Guard and Minneapolis PD neighborhood security team was fired upon early Sunday morning by a drive-by shooting near Penn Avenue and Broadway in Minneapolis. 2 National Guard members did sustain minor injuries, one from shattered glass requiring additional care, and the other was superficial. So nobody was killed and nobody was severely hurt, but she has literally inspired violence on these officers that are just there to protect the city. Like, that's her city. Come on. Or it's not, no, it's not her city, duh. That makes it even worse. But it's her country. She should be, like, supporting her military. I'm an idiot. But, so, this is what our president had to say before the trial ended.
I know, George, I'm just going to answer that one question because George is, I've come to know George's family, not just in passing. I've spent time with him. I spent time with his little daughter, Gianna. You should see this beautiful child.
He's pandering to you.
Both brothers.
He's a politician. It's his job.
I can only imagine the pressure and anxiety they're feeling. And so I waited till the jury was sequestered, and I called. And as I wasn't going to say anything about it, but Lonius said today on television, and he accurately said it was a private conversation because Joe understands what it's like to go through this. And they're a good family, and they're calling for peace and tranquility, no matter what that verdict is. I'm praying the verdict is the right verdict, which is, I think it's overwhelming in my view. I wouldn't say that unless the jury was sequestered now, not hear me say that. But so we just talked to them. I want to know how they were doing, just personally.
That's a big deal.
Thank you very much for coming.
So it's pretty obvious what verdict he had meant. I mean, even Politico was saying it. Biden says he's praying for a guilty verdict. He's basically praying for a guilty verdict. That's if that is impeachable to some. Like if that were Trump or a Republican or right-leaning person, they would be getting told to resign, or there would be threats for impeachment for them already. Just because it's like interfering with the judicial process, whether the jury's sequestered or not. What if Chauvin wasn't guilty? What if he wasn't determined guilty on all three accounts? And now what if Maxine Waters has completely ruined the case? Now what happens? The riots will be tenfold. Yeah, and these are not peaceful protests. Minneapolis didn't board up all of its businesses for peaceful protests. That would just be silly. These are violent, building burning protests, riots, insurgency, if you may. The definition of insurgency is to resist the government or higher power. And that's exactly what BLM and Antifa have been doing for the past 2 years, burning our cities. So who are the insurrectionists here? Just some food for thought. Anyways, so here's some of what he said after the verdict.
A jury in Minnesota found former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin guilty on all counts in the murder of George Floyd last May. It was a murder in the full light of day, and it ripped the blinders off for the whole world to see. The systemic racism the Vice President just referred to.
See, now he's applying racism where there isn't any. See, Derek Chauvin, if anything, is just a drone, like a dumbass. He just had no idea what he was doing. If that even killed George Floyd. I mean, they found fentanyl and methamphetamine in the police car that he had spit out and in his blood, and he had norfentanyl in his blood, meaning he had already processed some of it. So, and 90% blockage of his coronary artery. So all that combined, I mean, the man was a ticking time bomb. I mean, sure, Chauvin probably still killed him, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he should have gotten murdered. Definitely manslaughter. But to then apply it to racism, I don't think Chauvin went over and was like, oh, a black dude, let me kill him. Like, that's just ignorant to think. I think it's just that he had bad training. And if anything, the state shouldn't be prosecuting Chauvin. The federal government should prosecute the state for their terrible training. Like, they trained, if anything, the state trained Chauvin to kill. So, like, they had their trainers come in and show the prone hold. And it was exactly what Chauvin did, if not worse. So, I don't know. But then you got Nancy Pelosi, my favorite politician, saying, thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice. The hell does that mean? You're saying that George Floyd died for justice? Justice for you to ram down your progressive radical your radical left policies? Let's listen to this one.
Thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice, for being there to call out to your mom. How heartbreaking was that? Call out.
He also called his girlfriend Mama.
Out to your mom. I can't breathe, but because of you, and because of thousands, millions of people around the world who came out for justice, your name will always be synonymous with justice.
And isn't that a shame that a man who, and I don't mean to character assassinate, but I mean, it's an absolute tragedy. I don't want anybody to die, and George Floyd shouldn't have died, but it's like, there are so many worse examples that you could use of police brutality, white and black. Daniel Shaver is a very good example. You should look that up. I literally cannot show you the video on YouTube because it will get me banned because of violence. Because it's a white man, and a police officer is telling him to get on his knees and keep his hands in the air and crawl down the hallway towards him all at the same time. And every time he tries to crawl, he moves his hands and the cop screams at him until he eventually just shoots him. Like, the kid's literally begging for his life and the cop just shoots him. And I don't know, but shortly after, like right after the verdict, this story comes out. 15-year-old black girl has been shot and killed by police in Columbus, Ohio. Apparently she had been in a knife fight. Like, she had been in a fight and pulled a knife on somebody, and then when the police arrived, they shot her. So I guess I'll play this little clip.
That shot this poor fucking girl. I'm not gonna put this shit on camera, but he fucking shot this girl talking about she tried to stab him. The fuck? That's somebody's fucking daughter, bitch.
So obviously we don't know what happened, so we'll wait to speculate. But obviously this doesn't look good. And to say that George Floyd died for justice, and now she wants to name a bill after him. The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act? This is so creepy. George Floyd should be alive today. His family's calls for justice for his murder were heard around the world. He did not die in vain. We must make sure other families don't suffer the same racism, violence, and pain, and we must enact the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. This woman is a lunatic. She's pushing nonsense. She's trying to divide the country in order to secure more power for the Democrat Party. It is a tried and true Democrat tactic, and you can see in my last video, I lay it all out for you. I show time and time again how the Democrat Party is the racist party that will just try to control black votes. Has nothing to do with what they want. It's all about power. And I'm going to show you. This is from 2018, crime in the United States. So this shows murder. This is the murder table, and it shows it by race. So, and I Googled, I looked up police shootings, but I don't think this is for police, but I have that in the next tab, I think. So you can see here the amount of like interracial crime is relatively low. So the amount of white people killed by white people is much higher than the amount of black people that kill white people. And the amount of white people that kill black people is much lower than the amount of black people who kill black people. So and it's actually disproportionate. Like, I don't know. It's definitely disproportionate. And if you go, this is the Washington Post, so I don't fully trust the source, but all right. You can look. This is 2019. How many white, black, Hispanic, other, and it's pretty correlated. I mean, there's 424 white people were shot and killed by police. 277 of them not fleeing. So that's 28% of the people. And 128 people, black people shot by police, also not fleeing. So it's pretty in line with our population density. What are we, like 50 or 60% white as a country and 13 or 15% black, African American ish? I don't know. Just food for thought, I guess. This whole thing is gonna blow up in our faces if we don't get a handle on it. And I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Share my videos. If you like what I'm doing, let me know. If you hate it, let me know. But I hope you come back and watch my next one.